Yo, what's up, everybody? Stover and Vinny here with Bangers and Degens. It is Monday, the 2nd of January. We're coming to you here a couple hours before game time. We got a huge game coming up tonight, playoff implications in the AFC. We have the Buffalo Bills traveling to take on Cincy in Cincy. We have the line on the game tonight at 2.5. Buffalo Bills are minus 2.5. The over-under on the game is 50.5 right now. We're going to go over a couple plays that we like on this game. We're each going to give our free plays out, may cover a couple props that we like, and I think that's about it. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it here. I'm going to start with Vinny. What do you got for us on this game tonight?
Well, I think this is going to be a great game to watch. As far as the over-under, I am going to be taking the under in this game for a couple reasons. When I first seen this line opened up, a lot on the public was on the over, which they should be. I'm just looking at some lines. I'm looking at is telling me to take the under in this game. I could totally see it. Both these teams have good defenses. Yes, they have explosive offenses, and it should be a high-scoring game. But I could see a finish of I'll say my final score on this game will be 24-23, and I think the Bills win by 1.
Wow. Okay. I mean, looking at the money right now and looking where early money's at, obviously it's a few hours before game time here, so we're going to see what happens in the next couple hours. But it looks like the public's real heavy on Buffalo, as you could imagine. Not shocking at all. Buffalo has to win tonight to keep pace with the Chiefs for home field advantage and the number one seed overall in the AFC. However, the Bengals also have an opportunity to lock up the number one seed if they were to beat the Bills tonight and win next week and get some losses next week out of some teams. They could get the AFC number one seed. Very doubtful at this point, but could still happen. So that's why I said a lot of playoff implications tonight on the game. Looks like public's heavy on Buffalo money line. Public's heavy on Buffalo minus 2.5. I would have to agree here with Vinny on the under. The early money and early indication definitely looks like the under's probably the play. If it was my money, I'm probably staying away from the over-under. I just think that this game has too high of a chance to be a shootout, so I don't think I'd put my money there. But if you're looking for something and I were to give something, I would say under. My favorite play on the game personally is Cincinnati plus the points. I would probably buy a half here and just take Cincinnati plus 3 to be safe. If it pushes, it pushes. I think they do have a good chance to win outright, especially with all the public on Buffalo. And I also think Buffalo's secondary has been a little banged up. I mean, we've seen the Jets give them a run for their money. They beat them once this year, gave them a run for their money in the second game. Bills' defense has looked shaky compared to what they looked like last year and what we've been used to. So I definitely like a Jamar Chase touchdown. I think that's my other play here is a Jamar Chase touchdown anytime. I think that one's plus 110 right now, depending on what book you're looking at. So that's a nice plus money bet. And again, my lock on the game I think I'm taking here is the Bengals plus 3. You got anything else for us, Vinny?
Yeah, I mean, as far as another reason why I like the under, I don't know. I know everyone uses different books. We like to use FanDuel around here. Based on the touchdown scores, as you just mentioned, Jamar Chase, I think, is plus 110 to score. There's only one person on there that's minus money to score, which is Joe Mixon. And I think that line's I think it's 115, correct?
Joe Mixon's minus 115. He's the only guy minus money, at least looking at odds on FanDuel.
Yeah, so like we get into, usually when it's going to be a big shootout game, a lot of these people are minus money. Does that mean the game's going to go under 100%? Of course not. Just based on the analysis, that, and there's a couple other reasons why I like the under, based on the quarterbacks over-unders on their passing yards. So that's more going into detail of why I do like the under, and that is my free play is under 50.5 on that game. Do other than Jamar? Go ahead.
I mean, for sure. I mean, I would have to agree with that. I mean, not always, definitely not always. There's nothing in this sport here of sports betting that's 100%. But generally speaking, when FanDuel only has one guy in a game like this that's set up to be a primetime shootout with playoff implications on the line, there should be more than one guy minus money to score. That definitely looks weird to me. That's another reason why I would lean towards the under. As far as like elaborating a little bit on the Bengals play, I know a lot of people are probably watching this are going to watch it and say, man, I don't know how you would take the Bengals here in this game. I mean, we know Joe Burrow's history against Mahomes, right? A lot of people would argue that Mahomes has Josh Allen's number. Well, Burrow's got Mahomes' number. So if he can beat Mahomes consistently, guess who else he can beat? He can beat Josh Allen. These guys are 8-0 in their last 8 games this year, the Bengals, and they've had some pretty promising wins. I mean, they beat Kansas City, they manhandled Cleveland, they manhandled Tampa Bay on the road, and they handled New England on the road last week. So now they go back home. I think Joe Burrow tends to play better at home, so I just give the Bengals the edge here. And anytime you can get Joe Burrow at home with plus points, you better take it.
So my final score in the game was, I think, will be 24-23. What if you had to put a final score in this game? What would you take here?
Ooh, that's a good one. Looking at all the analysis that we covered and knowing that the NFL is very, very close on their lines on these primetime games, I would have to say that I'm going to take a Bengals win outright here, and I'm going to say the Bengals win outright 23-20. I think we covered everything here. Obviously, as we always mention, we're going to be here all year. We usually like to be on here for primetime games. Obviously, can't always do it for every single game, but we like to provide you guys the value when we can and when we have the plays. Got to remember to stay consistent and to win consistently. You can't bet every game, so there is going to be some games that we don't cover, like last night's game, nasty game. They scored a total of 29 points. There's not really anything to take on that game. This is a much better game to cover. So, again, we're going to be here all year. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll be coming to you in the future with more plays. Deuces.